Hello everyone, and welcome back to Build a Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking at, well, I'm honestly really not sure what to call this thing. Technically it's a battlecruiser, and I'm actually going to have to zoom out a little bit, because that thing is absolutely massive. This is the USS Constellation. Now, battlecruisers, the general idea being that they were sort of in favor at the beginning of the last century, and the general idea being that they would be very fast compared to the rather pedestrian speed of battleships at the time, and they would be heavily armed. Not quite as heavily as battleships, but heavily enough that they could deal with pretty much anything that they couldn't run away from. And the things that they could deal with, that they would run away from because they'd be so much faster than them. They were supposed to be fast task force auxiliary, not ships of the battle line per se, but this whole thing is was very much a First World War idea before carriers and anything became a big thing. And the British did a fair amount of these things and run into a bunch of problems. The Americans initially actually had plans as well, as early as I think 1908, something like that. There were plans around replacing the armored cruisers with battle cruisers that were supposed to be bigger and better, just not better armored necessarily. But the thing that really kicked it into gear was when the Japanese got the Kongo, and everybody got a little bit scared. And in a very long-winded way, the Americans effectively said, "We want one as well." So that was an ongoing design effort, and they wanted these things to have speed above 30 knots, which was a bit of a problem because that means you have to make that ship relatively thin, and if you make the ship relatively thin, you have to but want to fit really, really big guns in there, which need really, really big turrets and really, really big barbettes. You need to make it longer, such that you can fit them where the thin bits aren't, because you can't fit them in the thin bits, so you need to stretch it out a little bit. Which then comes with its own set of problems, because these ships tend to be really, really big. And because you were actually trying to save on weight, because you wanted them to be fast, you can't really armor them very well. It gets to the point where these ships have certain stability issues. And I'm not talking about them falling over on the side in the ocean. No, I'm talking about them starting to, wobble a bit and get bent. The British, again, being sort of the pioneers in that field, had one of them, and I think they figured out that once they fired the guns, the ship would twist and bend and needed to go back to the dry dock. So the Americans were looking very closely at what the British were doing. And the initial designs for the Lexington class, because this is what we're looking at here, these are Lexington class battlecruiser. The initial designs for the Lexington class were, how do I put this? Optimistic in terms of how fast they could make these and how many engines they would need to make that happen. So, because we're talking really like early 20th century tech here, they actually ended up putting 2 engine decks on these things. So they had one set of boilers below deck and one set of boilers above deck, which led to a lot of funnels. I think at some point they wanted to have 7 funnels on these things. But they weren't built because, a bit of a war was going on and everybody was busy with other things. And then when a little bit later, when they actually ended up having a definite design, and around about 1919, the technology had advanced sufficiently that they no longer needed to have a second level of engines above, but the structural problems more or less remained. So these ships were extremely chunky in order to just not, turn into some form of rubber band once the ocean was getting a little bit rougher. And they started building them, actually. They did start building them. And in the end, the naval treaty happened, the Washington Naval Treaty of 1922, in which, well, first of all, the capital ships had to be scrapped. And these things weren't, these things were capital with a capital C. these were 45,000-ton behemoths. So they had to have a special clause that would allow them to take the Lexington and turn her into an aircraft carrier. So whatever they had built at the time just got a flat top on it and became the Lexington class of aircraft carriers, which is what we also have in the game here. But this is what Wargaming imagines would have happened if they had continued with their plans. So we have a ship that is effectively, so just for comparison, right? This is the North Carolina. This is the Kansas. That is the Constellation. that thing's the size of an Iowa. That's like a... That thing is absolutely massive. Now, the obvious problem is you have something at the size of an Iowa. No one's going to be accusing the Iowa of being very particularly well armored. Wait until you see the Constellation, because that thing's got cruiser armor. But let's do some comparisons. And we're gonna get we're gonna have a look at the Constellation and the North Carolina, because they're the two tier 8s that we currently have. The first thing that you're going to be noticing here is the Constellation. When Wargaming was designing the Constellation, somebody must have asked in the room, which ship skill should we give this ship? And the answer was a resounding yes. Because we've got 2 engine boosts, 2 radar, 2 defensive AA, and 2 scout planes on this thing. Whereas the North Carolina gets the rapid reload. Now, if we look at the survivability, the North Carolina has distinctly better armor than this thing. This is more like a pocket Alaska in that regard, really. In return, the Constellation is a bit more maneuverable. And for once, she's actually quicker. So the one thing that she gets is speed, but she has to pay for it dearly with armor, because she doesn't have much. I think this design had like a 170mm belt at the thickest at the end, and not all that much more. The guns are also interesting, because we are actually seeing, I think these are the Colorado's guns, the L45s, which is interesting, because as far as I know, they should have gotten the, was it South Dakota class? The L50s, the longer versions of them, that we found in the Iowa. They were supposed to be here, but obviously it's a tier 8 ship, so they probably figured that. But they could have given her the North Carolina's guns for all I care. In return, they have given her the Colorado's guns. That's why we're going to be looking at the Colorado in a minute as well. So the guns are not quite as good as the North Carolina. And obviously, yes, these are also twin turrets. Because once again, long, somewhat thin ship doesn't fit big turrets in. And has stability issues as it goes. And they were built for speed, not for firepower that much. The secondaries are identical, but the Constellation gets torpedoes. And that is actually historically somewhat accurate, because the Constellation originally, being a early 20th century design, actually had underwater torpedo launchers. But they actually did add twin launchers towards the stern. And Wargaming has just turned it into triple launchers to sort of make a compromise here, because we usually don't get the underwater torpedo launchers on World War I battleships. The AA is good. I mean, it's better than in North Carolina, and you get the defensive AA skill. So, yeah, you definitely got some AA to work with here. And the concealment is actually a little bit better than on the NC. So let's have a quick comparison with the Colorado, just in terms of guns, because obviously the Colorado even the Colorado is better armored than this thing, and the guns have slightly better range and do a little bit more damage, but other than that, they're the same. So you're gonna find that these are not the world's most punchiest guns, and yes, like in the Colorado, you only get 8 of them. So what do we have then? We have a ship the size of an Iowa, the armor of a cruiser, the Colorado's guns at tier 8, and all the ship skills. which is a little bit of a conundrum because, well, the first thing, obviously, a ship that is very, very fast, decently maneuverable, and has big guns like this, you'd think, yeah, well, battlecruiser, we're going to play mobile, we're going to, flank and do these kind of things. Can't really do that in this thing because cruiser armor. If you get shot at in this thing, you will sink very, very, very quickly. A couple of well-placed battleship salvos will make an end to this thing very easily. She does not. She just has enough armor to get to make battleship shells full penetrations and explode inside your citadel. Let me put it that way. So what's the alternative then? I mean, you've got torpedoes, right? And while they don't have an enormous amount of range, they're still there, so they should be used. Well, the alternative would be to play at range, to play like a battleship, because it is classified as a battleship. Well, you can't really do that either. I mean, at least not like an... you're going to have to stand real far back, because, once again, if you, for example, in a center cup map, position yourself next to an island or something, and try to actually be inside the capture circle, you will sink very, very quickly because unlike something like the North Carolina or the Iowa, which, again, no one's going to accuse of being particularly well armored, at least they can still bounce some things. This thing cannot. Very much not. So what do you do with that then? Well, let's have a very quick look. You get two choices, either more fire and flooding resistance or for the traditional American damage over time build, or the advanced gun director for more range. Now, while the damage over time build would be nice because carriers are also having a field day on that thing, even though the AA is pretty good. So if she's not by her own seas, then she can do a decent amount of damage to airplanes. But the main battery firing range is where it's at, in my opinion. And that brings us to the equipment. Now, you do get the American-specific artillery plotting room, which gives you an additional 4% range. And it's very tempting to do that because you need to hang back in this thing. You need to avoid... Effectively, you need to build the ship such that you can avoid being shot at for the first half of the battle. Because if you get shot at during the first half of the battle, you'll not live long enough to have a second half of the battle. So it's all about range at the onset. The problem is the dispersion, because these are the Colorado's guns. And they're not the most precise under the sun. So I have actually switched over to the main battery mod 3 for slightly better dispersion. And I am running the propulsion mod, although you and the steering. Although you could go for different things. You could go for an AA build, right? Or you could go with a full damage over time sort of thing with the damage control system and the respective elite bonus. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with this sort of ship. So no one's accusing her of not being flexible in these things. Yeah, hopefully not too flexible. That was a problem the British had with the battlecruisers. I have, as you may notice, actually maxed this ship out. So as you've probably seen in the video title, this is a maxed build because I wasn't having the greatest of results with this ship, let me put it that way. So I have put the historical camo on there. That gives us additional hit points, range, which we want, secondary battery range, and torpedo range, which is also pretty good. Not that you can like stealth torp or anything in it. And yeah, don't be tempted. You need to time your rushes very much. Much more so than in other battle cruisers. But we've got that, and I have put Thomas Kincaid on this. And the reason for that is because, well, first of all, he gets an additional AA defense and a radar, so we have one more radar, although you don't really need it, honestly. It was just kind of an idea that popped up in the comments. He also gets the better cooldown for the damage control, and he gets the improved air defense expert. So that skill is also... And he gets the legendary extinguisher skill with less damage taken from fire. Now, I have obviously taken the armor-piercing cap shell because you have, well, the Colorado's guns, really. Oh, yeah, and the engine overloads because you get an engine boost. Unusual on a battleship, but you can take that. And I have taken the horizontal protection expert because you're gonna need all the horizontal protection that you can get. Don't be tempted to get the Citadel strike because you're very rarely gonna hit citadels with that thing anyway, unless you are playing at point blank. And if you're playing at point blank, you're dead. So unless the enemy team chooses to completely ignore you, which happens occasionally, but is rare. So there we have. And once again, I need to zoom out here. the USS Constellation, a tier 8 Colorado with cruiser armor and the size of an Iowa. At least she's quick, right? All right, let's get into some battles, and I'll show you how that looks like. In the first battle, we are playing on Cage in center control. And we're up against double Kansas, double Amagi, Mogami, Ognivoy, and Kagero. Now, how do I put this? I like to be inside the capture circle, if at all possible. And in a center control map especially. The problem is, you can't do that in this thing, because while it looks like a battleship, and has the battleship classification, it very much isn't. It's a cruiser. And it's a cruiser the size of New York. So you need to hang back. There's no alternative. So if I was going to go to my usual position, which would be next to the island, just at the entrance of the capture circle, I would be killed, because the two Kansai, I don't know, these things would absolutely make mincemeat out of the ship. So I have to actually hang back behind this island, outside the capture circle, and just trying to get my maximum range to the other side of the cap circle where the enemy team is going to sit. And then I'm going to start shooting at stuff until the situation has cleared itself. Now, you can already tell that this is going to be one of those games, because look at where our destroyer is on the northeastern side of the map. Yep. So the Öland is going into the capture circle, but of course the Öland's going to be alone. Now the Amagi, another battle cruiser, seems to feel brave. So scout plane up, which gives me more range, and I can start actually lighting things up without being spotted. No, I'm spotted, so something is a little closer than these guys. But yeah, we can start shooting at things, and yes, like I said, the dispersion isn't great, even with the precision module. Okay, so there's Kagero and Ognivoy. And yeah, we are going to light up the Mogami and see if we can do some damage to that thing from over here. And he is skirting behind the island. Yeah, we got some shots on target, but this is going to be the gameplay for the first half of the game, because I'm going to have to hang back. Because as tempting as it is, if I'm going to push into double Amagi, double Kansas, and Mogami, I'm very, very dead. So I don't. I'm going to hang back here. And of course the enemy team is holding the capture circle, because our cruiser and our destroyer, our other destroyer, not the Öland, the Öland's doing the right thing, but the other destroyer is exploring the far end of the map over there. And I just can't do something about it. So the Mogami is hiding behind the island. I need to inch a bit forward. Okay, there's a Kansas, so that's about as forward as I want to be. Line it up and then shoot at things again. So as you can see, I'm hanging back because I need to, not be there. Oh, we got a Citadel in the Kansas. That's actually rare. You don't see that very often. But it does happen. Okay, there's the Ognivoy. Let's see if we can get a sneaky shot in at that thing. Nah, he's turning around. It's never going to hit him. More on the Mogami, but our Amagi seems to be trying to... I don't know what the Amagi is trying to do. But he is trying... Yeah, there you go. That was a Mogami I've been shooting at, a fully broadsiding Mogami, right? Just mentioning that for funsies. Yeah, the Amagi seems to try to commit suicide by enemy battleships, so I'm trying as much as I can, while I'm hidden here and not being shot back at. I'm trying to deal with that Mogami at least, so we've got one less set of torpedoes coming in. But yeah, these guns don't do an awful lot of damage. So while that's happening... And I think the Amagi is, or maybe that was his secondary. So we're firing high explosive. Okay, someone took out the NC. So Kansas. Let's take that thing next. And at this point, I feel like, okay, I gotta go. The Amagi is, not the Amagi, the Mogami is gone. They're torpedoes. Bismarck is pushing, so I'm coming along. Bismarck, there's an Ognivoy. Bismarck, you've got Hydro. Bismarck, please, don't do that to me. Okay, so at least his auto-secondaries have realized that the Ognivo is there. Okay, Bismarck is taking almost all of the Ognivo's torpedoes, and now Bismarck doesn't want anymore. So radar up, let's keep the Ognivo spotted, just in case, you know, our cruiser might be doing something cruisery and shoot at destroyers. No, not really. And now the Bismarck's buggered off, so I'm suddenly at the front of the thing, where I don't want to be. So high explosive shots out at the Ognivoy, but now I'm being shot at, which is not good, so I need to move. Oh no, he's shooting at the Bismarck. Okay, torpedoes out, just in the general direction of that pulk of ships there. Let's see if I can get around. There come the Ognivoy torpedoes. Let's get back to the armor piercing and see if we can go around, because while we have no chance of winning on points, because our team is just refusing to get anywhere in the capture circle, including myself, but I have a reason, the rest of them doesn't. Let's see if we can just kill them all. Maybe that's an option we have. So let's see if these torpedoes have reached for the Kansas. Oh, lucky Kansas. No, they don't. Okay, now I'm being shot at for... Nope, still shooting at the Bismarck. Okay, I can live with that. So full steam ahead, and then we'll see if we can brawl this Amagi and Kansas. Kansas is on low hit points, so Amagi is on full health, and there's another Amagi. No, never mind. The other Kansas is dead. So they're the two destroyers. I have the engine boost running, so hopefully their torpedoes are going to miss me, because obviously, you know, if you do a run like this, you're going to run into all the torpedoes coming out of the middle, because they're holding the strong position there. And yeah, the Aki has completely neglected, a gunboat destroyer has completely neglected getting anywhere near the capture circle, and is trying to be a torpedo boat from long range. Okay, torps out at the Amagi. Yep, I'm taking some torps, but I can heal that back. Okay, that's 3 torpedoes on the Amagi. Let's kill the Kansas before he can blood me. Okay, Kansas dead. That leaves the Amagi and the 2 destroyers. Now here I'm making a little bit of a misplay, because I'm actually trying to save the Bismarck and trying to distract the Amagi, but the Amagi doesn't have any of it. I should have gone back into the capture circle at this point, because we still have 2 destroyers to kill, and there's only a minute left in the game. And yeah, there's an Akizuki and one of our cruisers here, so we're never going to win on points anyway. So yeah, there's the Wichita, which would have been really good at dealing with those destroyers, because now we only have a minute left and I still need to turn the ship around. So yeah, even if I had taken some more torpedoes, it would have been a better plan to go into the capture circle, not in order to cap it, but to get closer to the destroyers. But anyway, I do have the range to do this. So we've got Ognivoy and Kagero. Kagero needs to die. So scout plane up, range extended, elevation extended, shots out, high explosive loaded. We need to kill both of them, and we've got 35 seconds to do it. Okay, that's a bit far back. 1 hit on the Kagero, that's not enough. Ognivoy is smoking up. I have a radar, but I don't think he's in radar range. I'm popping it anyway, just in the hope that he might be sitting there, but I think the Ognivoy is not stupid. There come the torpedoes. I can't really deal with these right now. I'm just going to ignore them. And I'm trying to kill that Kagero. Shots out. That might still land. Yep, got the Kagero, but yeah, the Ognivoy is gone. And well played by the Ognivoy. Sometimes you just can't carry that. But you have to play like this, right? If I had played more aggressively in the onset, I would have been completely shredded by the enemy battleships. Hell, even Italian semi-armor piercing is doing insane amounts of damage to this thing. Yeah, such is life. There, I still came up at top of the team, but it doesn't help very much. So let's try that again, and I'll show you a situation where it works a little bit better. Because here we are on epicenter. Now I have to do the same thing as I did previously, because we are up against Black Bismarck, Colorado, Belfast, Terrible, and Kagero. So I'm still gonna have to do the same thing, right? I still can't actually get into the capture circle. But it's a big map, and I'm fast, so I might be able to skirt around somewhere. The problem with Pacific Islands, obviously, is in epicenter, is that there isn't an awful lot of cover, at least not for something the size of the Constellation. Because, I mean, that island there in front, but that island is completely outside the capture circle, and I can't justify being behind that thing. So, but 3 enemy destroyers, yeah. Now, destroyers, if you are up against destroyers, you can actually do... they're actually not your biggest problem. It's other battleships that are. So and heavy cruisers because they will do insane amounts of damage to you. But destroyers are not so much of an issue because she is relatively maneuverable for a battleship. She's got a decent set of secondaries. The high explosive is pretty good at close range. Even those guns can't miss. And you do have the torpedoes, which are going to be a bit of a surprise oftentimes, because especially for American ships tend not to come with torpedoes at this tier at all, unless they're destroyers, and especially not battleships. So probably nobody expects you to have torpedoes, which can come as a nasty surprise. And yeah, it's not the torpedoes are actually less of a problem than the armor-piercing, large caliber armor-piercing. Okay, so there's the Terrible. I think that's a Bot Benson, and there's a Bismarck. So let's start shooting at the Bismarck. There's also the Black Bismarck. So this is about as far forward as we want to go, because otherwise, yeah, there comes some incoming fire, but he's missed. I'm not sure how. And there's a Belfast. Belfast is a good target, but Belfast is smoked up. Okay, so we are unspotted because I've got the island between myself and we're still being shot at by something. Let's get back to the Bismarcks then. Okay, I can't lob over that island, so I do need to reverse and back up a little bit. We are holding the inner ring, which is good, but okay, it looks like that Bot Benson is coming around, so I'm gonna have to deal with that thing, I think. This I mean, the bots torp occasionally, but you know, especially if they're at this close range, they might actually get some funny ideas. So let's just kill that thing, just so it's out of the way. And yes, I know that was armor piercing, but I had it loaded, and I can finish him off with the secondary, so that's not an issue. So let's get that thing killed. Okay, and now there's the Bismarck. So torpedoes out against the Bismarck, and he is shooting at me, but I'm feeling that, okay, I can rush this guy. As long as I don't come under concentrated fire. And he's also got torpedoes coming in from the other side. So there are going to be Kagero torpedoes in the water, I presume, coming from the island. But okay, Bismarck's dead. Akka takes him out. There come torpedoes, but I think these are friendly torps. So there might not be Kagero torpedoes in the water. Okay, Belfast. Hello, Mr. Belfast. And here's where it starts working. And the reason this is working, what I'm doing right now, is because these guys in the middle are not paying any kind of attention. Because if these two guys were paying any attention, they would have blown me out of the water by now. I mean, look how much health I've already lost. Look how much damage the Belfast is doing to me. But that's okay. If he made a cardinal error of coming way too close, so I'm not even going to try and torpedo him. I'm just in case I'm dropping him that way. But that's a dead Belfast. Smoke up. Yeah, not going to happen. Radar up. And there she goes. Okay, so Belfast is dead. There's the Black Bismarck, and he is playing more like a traditional battleship. It's not the right way for a Bismarck to be positioned, really. But he's also perma-flooding, so what you're gonna do? But Bismarck be more of a mobile thing. So in any case, we can shout very loud and keep moving. We say, well, he spotted me. No, I think this were his auto secondaries that spotted me. Okay, there's the Kagero still. What's he doing over there? Was some shot out at him? Is he sitting still? Okay, there comes some torps, but I think these have missed. Okay, the Bismarck has noticed me. Ow, yes, exactly. And that hasn't even hit. Okay, somebody else took out the Bismarck. Okay, and we have a Colorado left over there, and there's still that Kagero somewhere in the middle. So 2 destroyers left and that Colorado. So full speed ahead. Colorado isn't paying attention. Oh, there's that Kagero still. What is he doing sitting there? Okay, my torpedoes might take him out, but we'll just kill him with the secondaries. There we go. Kagero dead. Okay, now it's just a matter of killing the Colorado. So let's get let's rush him. You can do these sort of things if the enemy team lets you get away with it, right? So if the enemy team lets you do this and isn't paying any attention to you, then you can use the mobility and the torpedoes and firepower of this thing to its full potential, and just zip around the map and do things where required. But if you get focused, things go sideways very, very rapidly. So still shooting at the Colorado, and the Colorado is also being shot at somewhere else. But oh, there comes the Colorado shots. That hurt, yeah. That could have been much, much worse, honestly. I think I got a bit lucky there. Because at this range, the Colorado can do very, very nasty things to me. I think torpedoes just run out. Yeah, they didn't have range. That's okay. I can still finish them up with the guns. Because I am way faster than the Colorado. And there's the Le Terrible still. So let's go bow in, because the Colorado can one-shot me if he gets a lucky shot in. So we don't want to present any profile. We can finish him off with the secondaries, and there she goes. Okay, I'm at 4 kills, so the Terrible is mine. Okay, hello, Mr. Terrible. We're switching over to the high explosive. And where are your torpedoes? Okay, I'm not gonna... The torpedo angles, by the way, are excellent on this ship. She has really, really good torpedo angles. Yeah, not going to bother. I'm just gonna kill him with the guns. I don't know where the torpedoes were, so I'm just gonna change. Maybe he doesn't have any ready. Maybe I'm just gonna change speed and course, and I want that kill. That's my kill. I seen him first. You all stand back. That's mine. Mine. There we go. Okay. Kraken! Yeah, you can do these things if the enemy team lets you. So if they're not paying any attention to you, you can use the mobility and to get yourself into positions and fire. But if you come under fire and you just poke out your nose a little bit too much, you will be dead in 30 seconds. So is that a good ship, the Constellation? If I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't say she's a good ship, but I'd say she's a fun ship. Because, first of all, it just feels like such a weird combination of things. It feels like a sort of meme ship. And look, the guns are tier 7 guns in tier 8. The armor is garbage. The ship's way too large and too big, massive of a target. But if you can get away with things, if you can sneak around a little bit, and I'm really using that word here optimistically, then you can have fun. You can have mobile gameplay. You can rush between 2 enemy ships and drop torpedoes left and right, and you're not going to sink anything. And you can do some damage and you can have some fun. What you can't do in this thing is carry your team, especially in things like center control maps, because you literally just don't have the capability to tank anything. So you can't get in there. And you're somewhat reliant on the enemy team to let you do your thing, which is always a bad combination. But if she works, it's a fun ship. If you like an aggressive playstyle, just be aware that you can absolutely not take any kind of fire from enemies. Except torpedoes. Torpedoes are sort of okay, because you can kind of dodge, and you have the engine boost, which can throw them off a little bit. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.